got this thing working. I do not have any way to, at least I don't think, see if you are making a comment here. But anyway, I'm going to share something with you. Nonetheless, it's a new device, and I'm not sure how the volume is. I can't check that, but I do want to share a couple of things with you today. You know, as you know, we're going into the Christmas season here, and we're going to start a new mini series on Sunday for Christmas, a Christmas series entitled "The Light of Life," and I'm looking forward to it. Done some extensive study, I think. Hope it's going to be good enough and that you'll see what I'm talking about when we get into the church on Sunday, affected in some way or another by the pandemic. We know several people that have had the virus. Some really struggled with it, some not so much. And there are a lot of families that are quarantined because they were around someone that had COVID-19. And I was told that several people on Sunday morning were wearing a mask, which I appreciate that. But I'm not mad if you don't wear a mask. I just think that we have to respect other people's space, give them room, and think of other people. Trust God and continue praying for one another. I think that's our whole goal here during this period of time. So I'd also gotten a text on Sunday morning. As many of you know, I wasn't there. I got a text on Sunday morning from one of our good friends in the church that said, the first Sunday you impose a ruling and on wearing a mask and you don't show up. Well, it wasn't intentional by no means. Life Church there in Edmond on your phone. I know we put our sermon outlines on YouVersion for people to look at our outline and follow along with the sermon. So I feel like I should tell you why we have suspended our Wednesday night service also. My biggest concern was with the classrooms and parents and their grandparents. The Christmas season, you have to know in many ways it's going to be different. There will be some things. We will still have a Christmas Eve safe about being there for that. We'll do some special Christmas music leading up to Christmas, and then on December 20th of Christ and our time together as believers. Our decorating team has been working this week and will continue to work. You're going to be very pleased when you walk in on Sunday morning. They've done an excellent job. That have been really good during this pandemic. In 2017, our leadership council at Cornerstone made a decision concerning our missions giving. We always gave well to our missionaries that we supported. We always wanted them to feel like they were family, and I think we've done a very good job of that over the last almost 20 years. We didn't drop any of our missionaries, but we did reduce the amount that we gave to our missionaries, and the goal was to put those funds aside for something local or something where we knew we could really make a difference. It's called the Impact Account, and if you give online or if you give on the app, the Cornerstone app, then you'll see the Impact Account is there. And I know that many of you have given to Cornerstone Missions. Just a little bit about that with you. You know that we have gone several months feeding children in the orphanage in Kisii, Kenya. More on that in a minute. But at the same time, we were giving $100 a week to feed hungry children and families and adults in Opapo, Kenya, through the church. And what pictures of how he has been able to share, based on the small amounts that we've been giving them, food with hungry people in his community. Back in Kisii, many of you have chosen to sponsor a child at the orphanage there. And I just want to say thank you for caring And thank you for giving to those who are in need in a desperate way, halfway around the world. You know, here when the electricity goes out, you call and tell the people, and they come out and fix it. Sometimes this by purchasing a generator. We paid for a well that had the pump had broken, and a lady that a surgery. I mean, we've just tried to help in any way that we can with our limited resources. But most recently, and here's why I bring it up, just a great story. The Cornerstone Family Worship in Opapo Church transferred to the Assemblies of God there in Kenya. They were trying to buy a piece of property to build a bigger church building just because they had gotten so full. And I know maybe I've shared it with you, but they don't do church exactly like we do it. I asked Pastor Bennard one day how long his service lasts. And he said, well, we have one in the morning and one in the afternoon. And I said, well, yeah, I get that, but how long does it last? And he said, one is in the morning and one is in the afternoon. That's a little different than we do it here in Tonganoxie anyway. Land by itself. The leadership council and I sat down and got together, and we basically had two options, I thought. One, they had already raised some money there. You know, a donation matched what they had already raised and give them $2,000. But one of our council members came and he said, I think there's another option. He said, how about we just, and so everybody went with that. So that's what we've done. We as in you and I and everybody in our church, we purchased that property for them for $8,000. Now, what we did not know is that when they had the land, the Kenya Assemblies of God District Office, we purchased the land. Now the Kenya Assembly excited about it. They're here somehow and is not able to do what God does. But you know, God has plans and thoughts that go way beyond any of our personal affliction or problems or challenges. God is still working. So He does. My point is, God can eve our pandemic to do marvelous things for the kingdom of God and for God's people. In Job chapter 36, verse 15, it says this: He delivers the afflicted in their affliction, and He opens their ears in oppression. Without affliction, God's deliverance is not near as noticeable. You know, until you get into a time where you are afflicted or oppressed, it's harder to recognize the goodness of God and the miracle working power of God and the strong things that God will do in our life. God will show Himself strong in times of affliction, times of problems. And this is where we are, and we're just going to need to trust God to do some greater things, not just by Him, and the world knew Him not. Jesus is the light of the world, and that may have sounded more profound to the generations before us 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 500 years ago, but maybe not so much in our generation. Jesus is the light of the world. Now that, and He had nighttime, but really nothing to convert the two or convert the darkness into light. Human history has struggled with for thousands of years, or did struggle for thousands of years, with the issue of light, mostly governed by the sun during the day and the moon at night. Light was not easy to come by after dark for generations and generations. They had fire, and they had candles and then lanterns, but the human ingenuity 200 years ago brought very limited light into darkness. But Jesus changes everything. Everything changes because He transformed darkness inside of us. Light brings life, both in the natural and in the spiritual. There's not many things that can live or grow without light. Light reveals things as they really are, and meaningful of every day. Extend our hours of light into the darkness in a physical sense, how to influence our days and control our futures. God has given so that we don't live of generations past, but we can live in the light, trying to invest in something now that's going to help us, at years with God, that now the promise and the presence of the unquenchable light of God. Just been getting angry a lot easier. They're frustrated with life. They're ready to give up in so many different ways. Unquenchable light, the light of understanding, the light of God, the light of God's wisdom, and His presence is with us always. We talk here at Cornerstone a lot about letting the light shine, from Matthew 5:16. But it's really hard for us to let the light of God shine through us if we are not letting the light of God shine in us. And so I want to encourage you today, take a few minutes, read the scriptures, pray, and ask God to reveal Himself and His light in all things. So I hope that you are encouraged a little bit about this sort of thing, and that you can see now why I feel like I'm encouraged day after day in our relationship with others, just watching some of the things that God has done in different places. So I'm gonna try to sign off of here, and I'm not really sure how, because it doesn't tell me how on here. But till next time, God bless you. Love you. Bye-bye. Now, here comes the uncomfortable moment. Got it.